With 31 now dead after contracting swine flu in Britain and around 700 worldwide, efforts to stem the spread of the pandemic are being ratcheted up once more. Prime Minister Gordon Brown's message: we're doing all we can, keep calm and carry on.
That we are putting in an enormous effort, and we are doing so in a calm, organised and ordered way.
A new national pandemic flu service is set to go live either today or tomorrow, to include a phone line and website. But new figures out are likely to reveal more deaths and a sharp rise in the number of Britons contacting their GPs with flu. And clinical trials on volunteers began on Wednesday in Australia of a vaccine against swine flu. But a leading researcher is now raising serious questions about the way the world is responding to this pandemic. Dr. Tom Jefferson says the response to the virus is driven by vested interests: academics, governments, the World Health Organization and drug companies, who all stand to gain.
By declaring pandemic, they've pushed the button on this juggernaut that they've created. And of course antivirals are part of that, and vaccines are part of that, and the whole panoply is part of that. All I'm saying is let's act with a little bit of caution and common sense. And let's look at the evidence, the hard evidence. Until they actually get used, we do not know whether they work. Their seasonal counterparts don't have a very good track record. The evidence from the hundreds of studies that we synthesized is that sometimes they work a little and sometimes they don't. In general, the quality of the literature is such that it's very difficult to understand whether they actually work, but they are pumped up. The thing that really scared me was SARS. That was a demonstration of how unpredictable these viral agents can be. There's this one-way obsession with influenza, and the rest we know very little. In front of a poorly defined and changeable threat, what you have to adopt is a strategy of broad response, not putting all your money on one horse. We've been brought up, people of my generation, to understand that a pandemic means deaths and a lot of serious cases, and that seems to have dropped out of sight, and they're lowering the threshold of a definition of a pandemic. And that is not a good thing in many ways.
One would expect them to make some money, but on the other hand, I mean, groups like Glaxo, I'm not a financial expert, but I can see over the years they have put a lot of investment into making these vaccines, and flu vaccine, it has not been a highly profitable area for any of these companies, and it was for that reason, actually, that most companies pulled out of the United States, where they used to make vaccine. They just found they couldn't make money on it, and it's for that reason they're all sitting here in Europe. So up to now, anyway, they've all spent quite a lot of money investing and not got that much back. Professor Jefferson is a very respected person in the field, but he does tangentially come at the field of virology, I think. He's always very critical. You know, if one hears Dr. Jefferson, you think, oh no, what's he criticising now? Are the vaccines not working? The antiviral drugs are not working? This not working? I was amazed and rather pleased, actually, to see him praising hygiene and hand hygiene. At least he agrees about that. But I think most people, the vast majority of people who spent their lives, and I do slightly object to his phrase that everyone's waiting for something to happen. That's not the case. I do disagree with Dr. Jefferson about the importance of flu. I know he's saying that other viruses are more important, but you can look at it another way, and I think you have to be positive about it. I think the investment in influenza from the American government, from our own government, the EU, is a very satisfactory area to invest.
And another story in the news today, GlaxoSmithKline's latest financial results. The headline figure: a 14% increase in the value of vaccine sales, including worldwide orders for 195 million doses of its pandemic flu vaccine.
Flu viruses can spread if you don't catch your coughs or sneezes hygienically.
But aside from drugs, the advice is more of this: wash your hands and keep good personal hygiene. There is, of course, less money to be made from soap and water, but according to some experts, it might be just as effective.